This is Talk Business and Politics with Roby Brock.
I'm Roby Brock. Welcome to Talk Business and Politics Daily. It's Tuesday, July 5th. Welcome to our inaugural edition of our daily digital newscast. Let's check out today's top stories.
FBI Director James Comey on Tuesday announced his agency is not recommending the Justice Department bring charges against Hillary Clinton for her role in an email server scandal when she was Secretary of State. Comey said that the FBI did not find clear evidence that Secretary Clinton or her colleagues intended to violate laws governing the handling of classified information, but he did say they were, quote, extremely careless with it. More on this in our conversation with John Brummett later in the program. The state ended its fiscal year on June 30th with a robust $177 million surplus, confirming Governor Hutchinson's recent assessment that the state would close out the year with enough to pay for near-term highway funding and also provide rainy day funds for education and other pressing needs. According to the final revenue report, Arkansas tax collections totaled $5.36 billion, 2.2% above prior year results and 2.7% above forecast. At a press conference on Monday, Governor Hutchinson said he was pleased with those results. He also announced that next week he'll make a second trip to Europe, where he will open the state's new European office, as well as stop at a major air show. The governor will meet with aerospace-related prospects and manufacturers in London. Then he will open the state's new European office in Berlin on that trip. There he'll also meet with U.S. ambassador as well as several German companies that do business in Arkansas. The natural state is no longer among the top 10 natural gas producing states in the U.S. as the recent drilling and sales decline in the Fayetteville Shale play has caused production in the state to decline nearly 20% over the past year. The good news, however, is that natural gas prices touched a one-year high just ahead of the 4th of July holiday. That offers some hope to some industry watchers that the recent rally could kickstart drilling activity before the end of the year.
And those are your top stories of the day. You can check out a full read on those articles and other stories that are in process at our website at talkbusiness.net. Now, after the break, John Brummett talks politics. We'll recap Sunday's TV program with Senator Tom Cotton and a conversation with University of Arkansas economist Kathy Deck. What does the Brexit vote mean for the economy? We're back after this.
First Security is here. Only here. So that means we're here, here, and here. Even here. And definitely here. Because here is where we want to be for you. First Security Bank, only in Arkansas.
Arkansas's most abundant natural resource provides the core asset for Deltic Timber Corporation. In addition to the sustainable yield stewardship of its well-stocked timberlands, Deltic adds value by integrating its efficient wood products manufacturing facilities, as well as through planned development of commercial and residential real estate. Deltic Timber Corporation, creating value for a growing Arkansas.
Every first of the week, normally a Monday, but on a Tuesday on holiday weekends, such as the July 4th one that we just had, we will sit down with John Brummett. He's a political writer for the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. He's a Talk Business and Politics contributor, too. Welcome to the program.
Well, it's great to be here.
You're on the inaugural edition.
The first one.
You like to christen the ship there, I like to say.
You asked me to. I'm happy to do it.
All right, let's start with the big news of the day, and that is the FBI has decided they will not recommend that the prosecution, that the Justice Department press charges against Hillary Clinton in this email server scandal. Hillary Clinton and the Democrats say she is vindicated from this news. The Republicans say she's still guilty as charged. Read what they say. How does this change the narrative?
I'm sorry. I know all the Hillary Clinton loyalists are going to hear this, and I'm going to have a difficult afternoon. It doesn't change the narrative much at all. I mean, she's not going to go to jail or be in the threat of going to jail. She's going to continue her candidacy. But the head of the FBI and the Justice Department of the administration of her party said she was extremely careless in the way she handled this matter, and that he can't vouch that he's seen all the emails, and in fact, many more were top secret and questionable than we knew previously. and that's a good day. I don't think this accrues to her benefit. I don't think it accrues to the Republicans' benefit. I think it keeps the status quo. And if you look at the social media this afternoon, what is it? It's the same debate.
It's
and
hyper-partisan,
everybody's got something to say. The Democrats can say, she didn't do it, we told you, she's vindicated. Republicans say, but listen to what the man said. And the band will play on.
It still shows up in television ads this fall, and it's still a topic of debate.
Well, if I were a Republican consultant, I would be able to use the FBI director's comments, or at least a snippet of them.
Let's talk about just a little bit more generally about the presidential campaign. This has been for months now. It has been Hillary Clinton playing the conservative electoral map strategy, Donald Trump trying to blow the electoral map up and letting this cult of personality kind of take over. Do you still see it at this point? We've seen Trump try some different things, work his way, wiggle his way to different positions. But I think we still see Hillary Clinton do the conservative blueprint that she's laid out from the beginning. But is it still an electoral map strategy versus a cult of personality?
That's exactly what it is. The national demographic, the new American electorate favors her. The electoral map, as established during the Obama era, favors her. Florida, Virginia, Ohio, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, out to New Mexico, Colorado, that all, Washington, California, Oregon, that's her strategy. Win the race the way that Obama won his race. And she simply is, she's managed to evolve into largely running for Obama's third term in many respects. Trump has two things I think he can do. One is blow up the map with his inimitable style, possibly, or he could have a Rust Belt electoral strategy. I mean, the disaffection about trade and about the changes in the economy and the fear and the resentment, that's heavy in Ohio, that's heavy in Michigan. Pennsylvania. So that area of the country, he might be able, in addition to trying to blow up the whole thing and do it by a different rule, he might have his own pocket of electoral strategy there.
In your column on Tuesday today, you actually recreated some of your arrows up and arrows down. I think of recent days here. You going soft on everybody, man. It was like 9-2 up arrows. You had an up arrow for Hillary, Trump, Asa, Tom Cotton, Jeff Long, John Bozeman.
I noticed this morning. I had given, I'll tell you a secret. I'll tell everybody a secret. I'd given Asa an arrow up, and then I got wind of your and Hendrix College's poll in which his numbers were down, and I changed the whole text. And I meant to change the arrow, but I didn't change the arrow. So it should have been.
It
should have been 8-3. But I'm also just getting mellow in my old age. I see the best in everyone.
Well, I was going to give you a mulligan if you could reverse any of your arrows.
Well, I reversed the arrow on
the Asa
on Asa, based solely on the numbers you produced, your poll produced in Hendrix's last week, which I admit I didn't understand. I don't know what he's done exactly to go from, what, a 59% approval in September to a 49 now?
I think he spent some political capital. I think he's had to lay it out there on Arkansas Works and the private option, and it just hadn't been, it's been a bumpy ride. That's my take.
Okay.
What's your take? You don't know.
I'm going to go with you. I'd like to think it was the firing of Baker Curris and the handling of the, maybe, and also the governor's mansion stuff, but I don't think those are two. I think you're probably right.
Well, it still was some unpleasant headlines, and those do damage popularity at times.
They do. There's a residual effect when you're just in a controversy every day on the front page. Yeah.
All right, you're going to be with us first of the week from here on out for quite a bit of time. I'm going to give you an occasional week off, you know.
Well, I don't need it. I'm Iron Man, don't you know, when it comes to commentary.
He's John Brummett. Right. You can catch him in the daily Arkansas Democrat Gazette. You can also catch him online at arkansasonline.com. Thank you so much for being here. Very much appreciate you.
You bet.
All right. After the break, we recap Sunday's television interview with Senator Tom Cotton. He had some disagreements with Donald Trump in our interview. And later, we're going to talk with economist Kathy Deck. We're going to find out what she thinks of the big Brexit vote and what its impact on Arkansas could be. This is Talk Business and Politics Daily.
Each day, the promise of our nation begins again. Arkansas and America moving forward. I help make that promise a reality. It's not for everyone, but people everywhere depend on us.
Oh, I love you too, sweetie.
Trucking delivers, or everything stops. And that's what drives me.
I did.
As Arkansas's population grows, so do our energy demands. But with the right mix of resources, reliable, affordable power will always be a reality. These resources are all around us in our rivers, blowing through our trees, even right below our feet. The answer isn't focusing on one resource, it's embracing them all. The electric cooperatives of Arkansas know that a balanced approach to power builds our communities and powers our dreams. Visit themixmatters.com and see why there's power in knowledge.
Kathy Deck is the chief economist at the University of Arkansas's Walton College of Business Center for Business and Economic Research. She's a frequent friend of our programming. Kathy, let's begin with the hype of the Brexit vote during the tail end of June that we've been seeing. We've seen some financial market turmoil in the short run, but what other outcomes do you kind of see happening, positive or negative, that we might see here in the near term?
Well, the thing about Brexit is it's all about uncertainty. Nobody really knows how this is going to play out. No one really knows what it means for a country like Great Britain to leave a group like the EU. No one knows what it's going to mean for the people of the country and the people of the EU in general. And so everyone is freezing up in their activities. We see business investment coming to a grinding halt. We see folks unable to plan for the future in terms of their own knowledge about where they're going to live and where they're going to be. And so that really casts a lot of doubt on the whole international structure because we're so used to these institutions that we've depended on being there and working for all of us.
Do you see this as as kind of a consensus economist opinion, or are you seeing opinions kind of across the board where some are saying, hey, this is a good thing, some are saying this is a bad thing, some are saying there is some certainty and here's what we're certain of and here's some things we're uncertain about?
From an economics perspective and from an economist's perspective, there has been near unanimity that this would be a disaster, particularly for the economy in the UK. We have seen, very respected outfits that do forecasts going forward, taking their growth from a couple of percents in a couple of percentage points of growth in the UK next year, all the way down to the negative range, and that's just an enormous amount of economic loss for a place like the UK.
So a word that we hear a lot about is called contagion, and this is where whatever the economic repercussions are in Great Britain could spill over to other countries, not only in Europe, but also across the oceans here and around the world. What do you think you could see, what could you see happening in the U.S. as a repercussion of all this uncertainty in Great Britain and in Europe?
Well, I think generally when we look at a contagion here, it's not so much about direct trade. It's not so much about the UK as a trading partner with the United States, or even as the EU as a trading partner with the United States. It's more about, say, the international consensus, these institutions that we've built to ensure that trade and peace are things that happen, and that we build our relationships around mutually beneficial things for all of us. We see that fraying a little bit, and we see a lot more talk about putting up barriers, about protectionism, about trade not being as beneficial to the global economy as we thought before. And that's really devastating when you think about the gains that have been made worldwide since the trade barriers have been put down. And so really contagion, it's not so much about directly what's going to happen in sales from UK consumers for US businesses. It's more about trust, and that's a harder thing for any economist to get her handle on.
So when you start putting your next economic forecast together, whether that's a local, a state, or a national forecast, what are you going to be specifically looking at in terms of economic indicators to see if there is some sort of repercussion or fallout from the Brexit?
So, Roby, one of the things that I look at all the time and look at specifically in the Arvest Consumer Sentiment Index for the Arkansas, Oklahoma, and Missouri region is that is consumer confidence. And I think that when you look at something like the Brexit, it caused some volatility in the stock market. That makes people worry about their retirement investments. When you think about our institutions not being as robust as we might have thought they were, it makes people a little bit nervous, perhaps willing to save a little bit more of their money and defer major purchases longer than they would have otherwise. So I'll be looking at those consumer confidence measures to see if we see any kind of just hunkering down among consumers here or nationally.
All right, she's Kathy Deck. She is the director of the Center for Business and Economic Research at the University of Arkansas Walton College of Business. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much, Roby. I appreciate it.
Now, you may have missed my interview with Senator Tom Cotton from this past week's Talk Business and Politics TV program. We air it every Sunday at 9:30 a.m. on KATV Channel 7 in Central and South Arkansas, and Sunday at 10 a.m. on KAIT's NBC affiliate in Northeast Arkansas and Jonesboro. Senator Cotton had some words of agreement and disagreement with presumptive GOP presidential candidate Donald Trump, and we'll recap after this.
Circuits turn on the lights by making a connection, by closing the loop. At Entergy, we believe our economy is circular too. What you put in comes back. So we invest billions in new infrastructure, which helps attract new industry, which helps create new jobs. We partner with local communities to electrify the economy, and together we power life. Entergy.
At Deltic Timber Corporation, we believe in the responsible creation of communities, in the development of neighborhoods that bring convenience and comfort to life, while respecting the beauty and delicacy of nature. Like the harmonious balance of environment and expansion found in the thriving communities of Chenal Valley and Chenal Downs in Little Rock and Red Oak Ridge in Hot Springs. Because the best communities in the natural state are the ones that help keep it that way.
Well, this past Sunday on our broadcast edition of Talk Business and Politics, I sat down with U.S. Senator Tom Cotton. He's been mentioned as a potential VP pick for Republican presidential presumptive nominee Donald Trump, although he says that's not the case. Cotton took exception to some of Trump's recent comments on trade agreements, and he made a little news in the process. I want to stay on some international affairs, but I want to pivot to Donald Trump, the presumptive GOP presidential nominee. We'll get to some talk about you and Donald Trump a little bit later on, but he said earlier this week, too, about the Trans-Pacific Partnership. He compared it to, quote, a continuing rape of our country. That is a very sexually violent, explicit term to describe a trade agreement. Do you condone or condemn that type of language that Donald Trump's using to describe a trade agreement?
No, I don't. It's not the language I would use, and I disagree with it as well. I don't think it's a clear-cut case, though, whether the Congress should ratify the Trans-Pacific Partnership. I generally believe that trade with other countries makes us more prosperous at home. It helps create jobs, whether it's, say, in the Arkansas agriculture or aviation industry that are shipping goods overseas, and helps reduce the price of goods at Walmart and your local grocery store. That said, each trade deal has to be evaluated on its own terms to ensure that it is, in fact, a good deal for Arkansans and for our country as a whole. Congress is still undergoing that process. I don't think we can ever just assume that a deal, because it's labeled a trade agreement, should be automatically presumed to be good for the United States.
Where are you on the TPP right now? Do you support it at this point?
Well, I'm still evaluating it, Roby. We don't expect to vote on it until at least after this year's election, and maybe not in the next year. So we obviously have a few more urgent matters in the Congress whenever we're not voting on something for 6 to 9 months at least. There are some industries in Arkansas that benefit from it. There are some industries that are hurt by it. So it's 5,000 pages long, very technical, not just reducing tariffs and other kinds of trade barriers, but creating some regulatory schemes that are going to cross international borders, about which I have my doubts. But by the time it comes up to the floor, I'll obviously have done a very thorough job in evaluating it for the people of Arkansas.
5,000 pages, that's just bedtime reading for you. Another statement that Donald Trump made this week, too, he said that he would repeal NAFTA if he's elected president. Do you support a repeal of NAFTA?
I do not, Roby. In fact, I think after Great Britain's vote last week to leave the European Union, we should at least consider an invitation to Great Britain to join NAFTA. If we do so, of course, we would want to update some of its terms. NAFTA was drafted in the early 1990s before the rise of the internet and e-commerce, on which countries like the United States and Canada and Great Britain depend so heavily. But on balance, I think it's actually helped keep a lot of manufacturing jobs in the United States by reducing supply times and moving high-end jobs that pay more and have better benefits to the United States. And again, with Great Britain leaving the EU, as Donald Trump himself said last week, we should move immediately to try to cement our trading relationship with them, since they are the world's 5th largest economy and one of our oldest allies in the world.
Of course, you can catch more of that Senator Tom Cotton interview in its entirety on our website at talkbusiness.net. And you can keep up with breaking news each and every day on that website, plus follow us on Twitter at TB Arkansas or on Facebook or LinkedIn. Just plug in Talk Business and Politics, find us and follow. Now, if you want to receive our daily email newsletters, they're free and you can receive them every morning in your inbox before 7 a.m. Just email me at roby@talkbusiness.net and I'll sign you up. And if you want to listen to a podcast of this show, perhaps on your commute to or from work, we're in the iTunes Store and on Stitcher, or just play through your smartphone. Well, that wraps up today's Talk Business and Politics Daily Digital Newscast. I'm Roby Brock. We'll see you tomorrow. Until then, take care.